So with that, we are going to call the meeting to order. So I just wanted to give council heads up on a couple of items I did send information on, just so you're aware where we're going to cover them off in the agenda. So for the flag raising plan, I will bring that up under business arising from the minutes because we've had successive conversations in both past committee of the wholes. And all three letters that council did receive today, one from Minister Lohr, the two draft letters to both Inverness and Richmond County Council will be all dealt with under correspondence. And of course, I did send off a report in terms of Wind Europe, and that's already on our agenda under item 13.3. Is there anything we're missing in terms of additions, Terry? That was on our radar. Any other additions? Oh, well, there's no additions. We're dealing with them on the existing agenda. Is there any additions? Okay. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Moved.
Okay. Moved by Councillor MacIver. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by the Deputy Mayor McDougall. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Okay, the agenda is approved. We will have one gallery presentation this evening, and Terry Smith from the Destination Cape Breton team, I believe. Terry, are you with us, hearing us okay?
Yes,
I hear
yes,
weather today.
A little bit under the weather. I was around a child who was sick over the weekend, so I think I've got something. But so I'll save you all of those germs.
You're in good company, Terry. I think probably half of us are battling the very same thing. But we will turn things over to you for your presentation, and then we'll take a few minutes for Q&A. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, and Terry, you're advancing the slides for me?
I'm your man.
Thank you very much. Well, great to be able to talk to you again this evening, and I wish I could be there in person, but next time we'll definitely make that happen. Before I jump into talking about our direction for this coming year, just wanted to give you a quick update on the marketing levy. The province, the legislature passed new amendments establishing new rules for levies across the province in November, which basically paved the path for the changes that we were advocating to put in place. So post that, we have our lawyer has drafted a bylaw and we've provided a draft to each municipality. So I believe Terry provided an update on a recent council meeting just upon where that sits, and that it has to be reviewed, and but hopefully that will be coming up before you in the next few months. And there's a deadline to pass it by November 9th, but I think that's probably plenty of time. And basically what the bylaw outlines is what we had recommended based on our consultations with accommodation operators of a 3% rate applied to all fixed roof accommodations coming into effect January 1st, 2024. We can go to the next slide, Terry. So before I jump into what our direction is going to be for the current year, I just wanted to show you a little bit of good news from the past year. And the next slide. This year, in terms of traffic to our website, we hit a record number. It was really, really strong visitation to the website, 1.43 million sessions. That was a 32% increase over the previous year, which was also a record. One of the things that we've also seen is that we had a record number of clicks from our website out to tourism operators. That tells us that people have a strong intent to travel, that they're digging into the destination and looking at what they could do, and so that is a signal to us that there's strong intention to convert to come actually to a visit. And the next slide. This just gives you, this is kind of over the past 5 years, the traffic by our three main markets. So Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes. If you take a look at the light blue bars, that's this past year. So in Ontario, the light blue bar, you can see it's way up above over any of the other years. It was almost 2.5 times what it was in 2019. So that was really strong. In Quebec, almost double what it was in 2019. In the Maritimes, because during the pandemic years, we placed more of a focus on marketing to people within the region. It's down from the last 2 years, but still up significantly over 2019. So those three key markets, they represent over 3/4 of the visitation to our website. So also over 3/4 of the visitation to our island. So that was really good to see. Next slide. So in terms of them converting into visits, well, we had this chart just shows you registered room nights sold, the trend for the past 5 years, and you can see the dip that happened during the pandemic. But we had a really strong recovery year, 455,000 registered room nights sold. That was the strongest year in the last 5 and up 5% over 2019. So really strong recovery year. Next slide. In terms of short-term rental units, or mainly Airbnbs, they even had a stronger year. They were up 21% over 2019 numbers. So they didn't dip as much during the pandemic, but have had a really strong year. So that just goes to show you that they are still commanding a significant portion of the accommodations market. And next slide. So just in terms of the year, that was a really good recovery year. So we're really pleased to see that. We were actually aiming for getting back to 80% of where we were in 2019. So being able to exceed that was fantastic to see. So now we'll get into where we're going this year. Next slide, Terry. So just to start, just in terms of what the economists are saying, this is from TD Economics, but most economists in the country are saying that economic growth is going to slow this year. But we've heard some talk about the R word, but most Canadian economists are not projecting that. They say that it'll be slower growth, but there will still be growth. And Destination Canada released a report late in the fall, and their projections were that, despite these issues like inflation, geopolitical issues like the war in Ukraine, that will impact recovery, but that they're predicting that the pent-up demand that we saw this past year, that's going to continue into this coming year. And anecdotally, what we've been hearing from a number of operators around the island is that their bookings for the season are really strong. So even compared to last year, so that's a really good indicator. Next slide, Terry. So our goals this year, we have 4 main goals that we're focusing on: enhancing the brand of the island, optimizing domestic visitation for the greatest possible impact. So we are focusing on domestic or Canadian visitation. So looking at those main markets that I showed you as well in the chart. Working with partners to mitigate supply side constraints. I see that Tyler and Carly are here with the partnership, and so we work closely with the partnership and the province, Cape Breton University, and others to look at things, and we'll continue to do that. And then making strides to become a sustainable and inclusive destination. Next slide. And just I'm going to go through kind of some of the areas of work that we focus on within our strategy. The first area is research, and I'm just going to touch on some highlights. So with research, our research tells us basically who is coming and who we should be targeting. So psychographic, that's just basically behavioral. Like there's two groups that we target, and these are based on Destination Canada definitions, but fancy names, authentic experiencers, and cultural explorers. They're people that are a good match to our destination. They want to explore the great outdoors. They want to experience authentic culture. They want to eat local food, and they want to have opportunities to interact with locals, perhaps at an event or a festival. Demographics. There's two segments that we mainly target: empty nest couples that are 45 plus, and then younger adults who are have completed their education but haven't yet started families. So usually in their 20s, maybe early 30s, and they have a fair bit of disposable income, and they place a high value on travel, and uh, and females do the majority of the planning. From a geographic standpoint, I mentioned those three key markets. Also dipping into Western Canada this year as well. And we can go to the next slide. One of the things that we know is an issue for us is that we'd like to have more information that is specific to Cape Breton Island upon which to make decisions. And so we've been collaborating with Cape Breton University, and in particular their World Tourism Institute on an initiative looking at some research. So it's still early days, but we hope to have something that we'll be able to launch to the industry sometime in the next few months, and it will give us a lot more information, but not only us, all of our operators, a lot more information that they can use to make decisions, whether it's a new investment, a new experience that they want to introduce, and so forth. Next slide. So in terms of product innovation or product development, there's a number of highlights that I just want to focus on. The next slide, Terry. Um, Supporting our Mi'kmaq partners in their continued development, we work closely with the Nova Scotia Indigenous Tourism Enterprise Network. Robert Bernard, the executive director of that organization, is on our board, and we're working on a memorandum of understanding with them. But we're looking at ways we can support the good work that they want to do. Um, Elevating the overall experience to meet the expectations of the target audience. This is something we always focus on, but we're going to work probably closely with CBU again. We've been in discussions with them about a project that will look to raise the quality level over the next few years. Also continuing to grow the winter and shoulder seasons. And one example of that, we launched as a pilot project last year, waterfall season. And that was something that we launched in the spring to try to encourage spring visitation. We saw some good results for a pilot year, and we're going to look to build on that this spring. And I should note that we didn't have any waterfalls in the town of Port Hawkesbury in last year, but we were told we should take a look at Embreys Brook Falls, so we're going to be looking at adding those falls into the program for this year. So hopefully that's going to bring some more people to the community. And developing some niche markets with growth potential. One that we're looking at is sport fishing. That's a new niche that we're going to look at getting into. Next slide, Terry. From a marketing standpoint, you can go to the next. And this slide is basically our marketing plan in a slide. But along the path to purchase that a potential visitor takes, they go through these different phases of dreaming where they'd like to go on vacation, then actively planning, looking at different options, then deciding on a destination and booking, and then coming to a destination and experiencing. So there are different tactics that we take along those four categories. And just want to, I'm not going to go through all of this, but just wanted to emphasize that the vast majority of what we do these days is all digitally focused. And so that's going to continue to be where we place our emphasis, and also in content development, which then is usually shared through digital channels, whether it's our website, social media channels, and so forth. And I should mention that a lot of the digital marketing we do is largely in partnership with Nova Scotia, Tourism Nova Scotia. Next slide.
Terry,
So along
can I
those
ask,
lines, sorry.
can I ask
Yep,
a quick question on the past slide? Terry, can you go back?
sure.
So I guess maybe it's not a direct path to purchase, but certainly I'm wondering if there was ever maybe some future consideration given to returning at the end of experiencing. So like, how do we recruit them to come back to, to walk the same path of purchase again? Just, I don't know if that's a missing step or a step we might want to consider in terms of strategy, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and it is something that typically we don't have to work as hard on that, but I think it is something that we could certainly look at. The vast majority of people that come to our website are first-time visitors to the site, and usually the island does a great job of selling itself, so people want to come back. But yeah, there are definitely things that we could do to look at encouraging that. So I'll
Thanks,
bring
Terry.
that back to my team. Yep. A few of the highlights. So continuing the strong digital marketing program. One of the things that we're going to focus more on is increasing engagement. So we had those 1.43 million sessions to the site. We're not necessarily going to look to increase the website traffic, but we're going to look at some tactics that we can use so that we can try to encourage more of those folks that come to our site to convert to visits. Leveraging technology for increased effectiveness. We're working on a project right now that's using artificial intelligence and personalizing the website experience for visitors. We're going to also this year reduce our investment in printed materials. For the past number of years, we've produced an experience guide, a 60-page booklet, which great piece, but it's expensive we're using up a lot of trees in it. So we're going to take what we would have invested in that and put more emphasis into some digital channels. And we're also going to enhance our brand identity. We're going to do Mi'kmaq, French, and Gaelic versions of our logo, and also doing seasonal treatments as well. And the next slide. In terms of events, next slide. So a couple of years ago, you can go to the next slide, Terry. A couple of years ago, we had a program called Events Cape Breton that used to receive specific funding for that. Oh, sorry, you can go back. And we're making the preparations this year. Although that program ended a couple of years ago, we've continued to focus on attracting and working with events. But as we move toward an increased levy in 2024, we're laying a lot of the groundwork this year so that when we get more resources, we're going to go back into the Events Cape Breton model, but with a bit of an evolved approach. So the focus used to be solely on attracting events, but we're going to evolve that to be focused on attraction, creation of homegrown events, and the innovation of current events to hopefully look at ways that we can help some current events reach a new level. We're going to continue the Community Festival and Events program. That's a program that we administer on behalf of the 5 municipalities and ACOA. So I believe Joanna from my team has been in touch with Terry about that. So we're just waiting for the funding to come through. And we're going to work on positioning the island as a small meetings and corporate retreats destination. Next slide. And the final area is destination development. Next slide. I should mention that that last picture was a shameless shot from the fleur-de-lis. So anyway,
They look familiar.
yeah. So in 2021, in the spring of 2021, we released the Rise Again 2030 Destination Development Plan, and there is a very some would say ambitious vision for the industry to reach within that plan. We've got 8 more years to get there, so and it's meant to be ambitious to stretch us to really to grow and pursue that vision. So I'm not going to read it all, but I encourage you to. I believe all of the councillors have copies of that plan, so encourage you to go back and check it out. But a few things that we're going to prioritize for this coming year. Next slide. We're going to work with partners, continue working with partners like the partnership to address the labor shortage. So we've done things like workforce solution sessions. We are working on we just recently had a recruitment readiness session that the partnership and the Tourism Industry Association were involved in, and there's a couple of new initiatives that will be coming out soon as well. We're also in the beginning stages of developing a sustainable tourism plan for the island. More to come on that. And we're also going to enhance the position of Cape Breton Island as a marine tourism destination for boating or any crafts of any kind. So that's one thing that we're also going to work on. And that's it. That's the end of the presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Hey, thanks so much, Terry, for your presentation. I'm not gonna lie, I've been enjoying all of the visual photos. Thank you for showcasing our town and region. It's fantastic. I guess we'll just take a moment to open up the floor for questions. Perhaps we can start with Councillor McCrory.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, through you to Terry. Yeah, appreciate how you personalized the presentation with the lovely photographs around town. The question I had, and I guess I found the answer, actually I do have the Rise Again 2030 booklet that you did provide us last year. My question was around doing a visitor satisfaction survey, and I see that is one of the goals on the back page of this document. Goal number 3, says the satisfaction rate of visitors, industry, and residents will have grown annually. And there's plans to do other assessments in 2024 and 2029. The assessments that have been done, Terry, are they somehow accessible? Like, is it possible to view the results of those sort of surveys?
So no, they actually haven't been done, and part of the reason is resources, and that's something that we're actually working with the other destination organizations across the province on a province-wide approach to having things like this, like those surveys conducted, and hopefully getting some more support from the provincial government to do so. But it's simply been a resource issue at this point. But once we have an increased levy, that's something that we certainly can look at.
Yeah, no, great. Thanks for your presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor McDougall, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Through you, thanks Terry for your presentation. I'm always interested in your presentations. They always perk my ears. So thank you, and come back again sometime.
Thank
Thanks,
you, will
Terry.
do.
Okay, Councilor MacGyver?
I have no questions, Your Worship. Just thank you, Terry, for the presentation. As always, great job.
Well, I'm
Thank
not
you.
letting you off the hook just yet, Terry. I already have our increase of the levies already spent. So, just on this side anyway, for the Port Hawkesbury side. So I guess I'm just thinking of that, the key goals you outlined in one of the last slides around marine tourism, which I think is a phenomenal goal. Obviously, and I guess in terms of looking at ways that the town of Port Hawkesbury, I know one of our strategic priorities is around waterfront development. So, I mean, the stars are kind of aligned on this side of the island for that. We do have two advisory committees that are active currently in the town. One is waterfront development, which is kind of a no-brainer, but there is another new committee called Port Hawkesbury Development. And then we also, of course, have the Strait of Canso Yacht Club. And for the past couple of years, Develop Nova Scotia has also expressed some interest in our waterfront as well. So my thoughts are, like, I'm just seeing kind of like a future kind of meeting of minds in terms of bringing some key folks, yourself and some staff, you know, even maybe the partnership. We do have a economic development officer as well. You know, just bringing folks into a room to talk about, you know, some strategy around, you know, some opportunity around that third strategic goal from a tourism perspective. I know it would, yeah, so I don't know what that could look like maybe, but I guess the best place to start is just start, I guess, engaging with some of those folks on that goal that we're here in the town. I think council will probably be supportive of something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been working with a consultant, Adam Langley, who actually used to work with Develop Nova Scotia
Yeah.
in the waterfront development area, and so he's a marine specialist, and we've talked about you know, for many boaters coming to Cape Breton, the Brador is kind of their drawing point, but they've got to make stops along the way, and the more we can you know, have the coastal areas of Cape Breton, including Port Hawkesbury, you know, having a reason for boaters to stop. It's whether that be for marine services, which you certainly have there, but also, you know, things that they could do while they're in the community, and making waterfronts as vibrant as possible. That's part of the bigger vision, and but I think that's a great idea to bring a lot of the key partners together.
It's great that you mentioned Adam. He actually has roots in Port Hawkesbury, so and he's actually one of those initial folks, like the original interest demonstrated by Develop. So I mean, he was one of those key folks. I think I want to say about 4 years ago, before we were able to you know, start developing the creamery building and start working on a waterfront development plan. So yeah, kudos to you for hitting the mark with mentioning Adam. I think you'd be a great person to kind of engage with that kind of a process. Any other follow-up questions? Thank you so much, Terry. I'm excited to continue that particular conversation.
Great, thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so our next agenda item is acknowledgements. So I do have a few acknowledgements, and then I'll ask council if they have any that they would like to offer. We have, of course, April 2nd, World Autism Awareness Day. I wanted to mention that this evening. Other notable dates in April is April 17th, which is Equality Day in Canada, April 22nd, which is Earth Day, April 28th, which is National Day of Mourning for Workers Who Died on the Job, which is certainly something that will resonate here in the Strait as well as Cape Breton Island. And last but not least, I really want to send out a huge congratulations on behalf of council to very successful Quad County Whitecaps. There were provincial champs all across the board. I will name, of course, U11AA, U13A, U13AA, and U18A, all provincial champs. And just on behalf of council, congratulations to all those tough ladies wielding sticks and just going out there and giving it their all. So with that, I would ask council if they have any other acknowledgements they'd like to make this evening. Okay, so we'll move on then to approval of council minutes. So our council meeting, which was a public meeting on March 7th, 2023, I would ask at this time if there are any errors or omissions. And I also want to note, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, for chairing that meeting. Okay, hearing no errors or omissions, I would ask if there's any business arising from that meeting. Okay, we'll move on to council committee reports. So I'll hand things over to Terry. We do have some action items that are coming out of our most recent committee of the whole. So over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A number of motions for consideration coming from Committee of Whole. First is with respect to the Canadian History Memorial Banner Program. For the consideration of council, a motion that would state that the town of Port Hawkesbury send a letter of support to Mrs. Morgan for the Canadian History Memorial Banner Program.
Okay, what is the wishes of council?
I'd move motion, Your Worship.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor MacGyver. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion that's on the floor?
Question.
Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is approved.
For the motion for consideration with respect to the Red Tribe Boxing, and that's that the town of Port Hawkesbury support the Red Tribe Boxing event to be held on May 20th, 2023 by donating half of the venue rental cost.
Okay, thank you. What is the wishes of council?
I would move, Your Worship.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion with a mover and a seconder. Just a quick question on this motion. Is that this is the same as last year?
Yes.
Okay, that was just my question. Any other discussion with regard to the motion? Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion's approved.
For your consideration that the town of Port Hawkesbury send a letter to the Minister of Public Works as discussed at the March 21st Committee of Whole meeting. I just add that the draft letter has been included in your package for review. So with hopefully with approval of this motion, we'd be able to send the letter.
Right. Thank you, Terry. What's the wishes of council?
The move that we send a letter to the Minister of Public Works, Your Worship.
Okay, so we have a mover, Deputy Mayor McDougall has moved the motion. Do we have a seconder?
Second it.
Okay, so we currently have a motion on the floor. I guess for information purposes, Terry, we are one of the signatories, but also the municipality of the County of Richmond as well.
Yes, Your Worship. So we've asked for the mayor of the town of Port Hawkesbury to be a signatory on the letter, the warden for the municipality of the County of Richmond, and the chair of the Lander Lake Water Utility Board.
Okay.
Your Worship, to Mr. Doyle, if you might just just provide a little bit of a summary as to the content of the letter that we were putting forward to send to the minister?
Sure. So just a little bit of background on the letter. So it's essential for the utility to move forward with support of green hydrogen and ammonia production facilities for the provision of water to increase the supply of water from Landry Lake. That's only accomplishable, that's the way that's accomplished, is to reestablish pumping and transfer of water from Little River to Landry Lake. That watershed, the land and current infrastructure that's in place is owned by the province of Nova Scotia. It's owned by Department of Environment and Climate Change and managed by Department of Public Works. We are asking the Department of Public Works to hand over the property as a operating utility to the Landry Lake water utility so that we can move forward with the provision of water for the production of hydrogen and ammonia.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for the summary, Terry. Any questions for Terry on this item?
Just a comment, Your Worship.
Sure, over to you.
This letter is also is to be dealt with by Richmond County Council also. It's a joint venture here.
Correct. And has it already been approved by the utility?
It was approved by the utility board this afternoon.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any other questions?
No.
If you're ready, you can call the question.
Question?
Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion for the letter is approved. And I will send that letter, signed letter to Richmond.
Yes, there were some small amendments to the letter in your package, I should mention,
Okay,
just with respect to some typos on
okay.
on
But the overall
Fisheries.
intent and.
the intent is
is
certainly the same.
Okay, fantastic.
The last motion for consideration is with respect to the Sports Wall of Fame guidelines. And that's that the town of Port Hawkesbury approve the Sports Wall of Fame guidelines presented at the March 21st Committee of Whole meeting.
Thank you. What is the wishes of council?
I would move, Your Worship, that the town of Port Hawkesbury approve the Sports Wall of Fame guidelines.
Okay, so it's been moved by Deputy Mayor McDougall. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded, Your Worship.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councillor McCrory. Is there any discussion on the motion that's currently on the floor?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, it is approved. So that concludes the decision items that have come out of Committee of the Whole from March 21st. At this time, I would ask if there are any errors or omissions from the minutes of that Committee of the Whole meeting. And if there are none, motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Okay, so we do have a mover for the minutes. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, it's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the minutes are approved. Now we will discuss any business arising from the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, March 21st, 2023. I have two items, but first I will ask if council have any that they would like to discuss.
No, Your Worship.
Okay. So the first item is just to confirm with council with regard to the flag raising plan, the Mi'kmaq flag raising plan that was distributed. And I would ask at this time what the wishes of council are with regard to those tentative plans. So they are laid out. The intent is, of course, around the raising of the Mi'kmaq flag on the 4th flagpole permanently within the town of Port Hawkesbury. It's a very important moment in the history of our town. Councillor O'Coin and I had the opportunity to work with some First Nation colleagues and friends and leaders from Unama'ki to really kind of flesh out what would that meaningful event look like. So before you for consideration is the result of the work that we did.
So your worship, what's the request of council?
I would just, so this is our event, and these are the tentative plans that we have designed. So before we move forward with these, we want to make sure that council is happy with the plan.
So is it a motion, your worship, to, you're not looking for
That's-
approval from council?
Well,
You're
we would hope for a motion to approve the tentative plans.
So moved.
That gives us
So moved.
thank you, that just gives us the go-ahead to start implementing the plan. Okay, so we have a mover, do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
They're trying to give you some turns there, Deputy Mayor. So we do have a motion at this time. Are there any questions? I'm happy to provide more information if there are. Okay, and I guess I should. Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I don't know if it was a question or comment, or in your report or in the terms that we're approving here, there's going to be a flag that's going to be permanently residing in the town. Is that correct?
On the fourth flagpole, correct.
I'm just wondering, going forward, if we can get a flag for the town of Port Hawkesbury. I know the fire department have a nice, beautiful flag over there flying, and we never have one for the town of Port Hawkesbury at our civic center.
I feel like we're going to be adding a fifth flagpole to our conversations for continued budget deliberations. I think that's a great idea. Do you have like a question though, like really flag raising event?
No, the flag raising event I supported.
Okay. And I guess for council's benefit, the gala that is being proposed, we're hoping that to be cost neutral. So there'll be some incremental cost for the flag raising itself, but it should be an huge budget implication with regard to the plan. Okay. If you're ready, you can call the question. Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? The motion is approved for the flag raising plan. Now, I guess as a result, and I thank you for that, we will assemble a team of town staff. And of course, the invitation is always open if any of you would like to work with us with regard to the flag raising. Certainly hope that you will all partake in the event itself as well. So the other item, Deputy Mayor, if you will indulge me, I just had a quick question with regard to the Sports Hall of Fame, the Port Hawkesbury Sports Hall of Fame, if you don't mind. We have a mutual friend that's been asking, a former councillor, Steve McDougall, has been asking about a nomination he's been wanting to make for the Sports Hall of Fame. I guess my question would be, is there just the applications incomplete, or, how can we assist Mr. McDougall with his application for his particular nominee?
Sure, Your Worship, I can answer that. And actually, the guidelines here that we just approved could tell you mostly what you want to know.
Okay.
He has to get a nomination form and send it to the chair of the committee, and it's either got to be a player or a sponsor or a builder. And Mr. McDougall was in contact with me, and I gave him that information, and I mentioned to him that he has to send in the application, and the same as every other nominee we had for the last 10 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Counselor, should I leave that with the Sports Hall of Fame to do follow-up with him?
Well, I don't think it's the Sports Hall of Fame's job to follow up on people. It's whoever wants to nominate. How it works, if somebody wants to nominate an individual for the Wall of Fame, they get a nomination application and they send it in to the chair, and the committee looks at it once they get the nomination in their hands.
Okay, are the new, I guess what we approved here today, is that publicly shareable? Is that something we can send off to him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, so if he has submitted something, it's incomplete at this point.
I know, yeah.
Okay, perfect, thank you so much. That's all I have. Is there any other business arising? Okay, just to confirm, Terry, we don't have any motions coming from in camera at this time?
We actually have a motion coming from the
Oh, in camera from Committee of the Whole, okay,
Yes.
sorry. So,
Motion for consideration from in camera on March 21st is that the town of Port Hawkesbury respond to the offer of sale of the land as discussed in camera on March 21st, 2023.
thank you, Terry. What's the wishes of council?
I would move that the town of Port Hawkesbury respond to the offer of sale of land as discussed in camera on March 21st,
Okay, so
2023.
thank you. We have a mover. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second the motion, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Corey. We currently have a motion for consideration from council on the floor. Is there any questions or discussion?
Question?
Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Is there any other follow-up?
No, Your Worship.
So we do have three pieces of correspondence that we're going to deal with this evening. So maybe we will start with the invitation letter to Inverness County. It's in draft form, so I'd ask at this time if council would like to tentatively approve it in its draft form. We could send that off whenever you wish.
I would move it to be sent letter to Inverness County, Your Worship.
Okay. So Deputy Mayor McDougall has moved. Should we have a seconder and then we can discuss?
Seconded.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councillor Corey. So discussion on the letter to Inverness. So maybe we can just give a little, I guess, a little bit of detail. So the letter is based on some of the conversations that were had at our Committee of the Whole to bring together both municipalities. It's an invitation to their council to look at our shared municipal files to see ways that we can improve the files that we worked on together. Are there new opportunities that we can pursue together? It's written in the spirit of collaboration so that we hope that Inverness County will be receptive to a future meeting. If they are receptive, we will leave that in the hands of both CAOs to work on a date, a time, a venue, and also get feedback from both of our councils to work on an agenda for said meeting. Okay, any other questions or discussion?
Question?
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, contrary minded. Okay, it is approved. So ditto except the municipality of the County of Richmond. All that I said before that to the County of Richmond. Of course, we do share, some similar but obviously very specific, distinct files with Richmond County. Landry Lake Water Utility being one of them. So I guess at this time, council has had the opportunity to take a look at the draft letter that will be extended as an invitation to their council to basically do the same, to have an opportunity to meet to discuss shared files. How do we improve upon those? Are there new opportunities to work together in the spirit of collaboration?
I would move that the town of Roxbury send a prepared letter to the municipality of the county of Richmond.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? You're being looked at there, Deputy Mayor. You want to second it?
Second it.
Thank you. So we do have the motion on the floor for the draft letter to be approved and then sent. Any questions or discussion, or if you're ready, you can call the question.
Question.
Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is, I'm assuming your aye, Deputy Mayor, was for approval.
It was, Your Worship. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is approved. So this is very new. The next item is a letter that we received from Minister Lore's office. I did have the opportunity to have a quick conversation with Minister Lore yesterday. So there is I'm just going to get that letter out. And we can certainly, thank you. So this is a very brand new program, and it's called the Sustainable Services Growth Fund, the SSGF. So this letter has informed the town of Port Hawkesbury that we have been approved for a grant of $391,408 that we can use for sustainable development. So we have a Schedule A, and I'm happy to share this with council if they so wish. But just to give a little overview, some of the eligible projects are around municipal services, which is renewing, increasing capacity, or creating new services. Some of the items that could be in consideration for this, and I will say that this fund also can be stacked or leveraged with other, with projects, current or future projects. And there are 4 key areas around housing development, seniors and long-term care, accessibility, and active transportation. So some examples of eligible projects: solid waste management infrastructure, active transportation trails and sidewalks, accessibility retrofits for municipal buildings, expansion of renewal of water systems and wastewater storage and distribution systems. We know all about that kind of a big project. And there are also some service-based or like preparatory projects that could also be included or eligible, such as planning, designing pieces that are associated with those kinds of projects. Is there? So there is a timeline, I believe. That's correct, Terry. There is there. So it can be for expenditures that are incurred. It's not, sorry, ineligible expenditures incurred before April 1st can't be considered. So only those occurring after April 1st, and they can have occurred after the end date of this program. Anything else you wanted to add? It's like new money.
Yeah, we just became aware of the program, so.
Just now, literally.
Within
early this
this
week.
morning.
So maybe Terry, you can comment, so Terry did a little bit of follow-up today with municipal affairs staff, so I'll hand things over to you.
No, it's very similar to what the mayor just passed on. So we have lots of uses for this money, and so we'll be discussing how to best utilize it through the budgetary process. But we certainly have projects that are developed or being developed that fit very nicely into this, and it's a great piece of funding that we'll certainly utilize.
Absolutely. So it's great news for us, and it's good information going into future budget considerations and meetings as well. We're still in the throes of our capital budget discussions, so this is a great amount that gives us a little bit more wiggle room with regard to some work we may like to do in the future. Any questions at this point? Because it's mainly for information at this point, but we just wanted to make sure council, was tuned into this wonderful news.
Mhm.
Thank you, Minister Moore. If you want to hand that to Councilor McGuire. Deputy Mayor, I will send you that document that kind of talks about eligible projects a little later this evening. Okay, so that concludes correspondence. Do you have any questions, Deputy Mayor? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, just want to thank you for that, what you said there.
I don't think we have any other correspondence. I think most of it, the other correspondence was dealt with under Committee of the Whole report to the Minister of Public Works. So we do have 2 proclamations, so we're going to move on to those. I'm just going to dig them out here. And correspondence has been done. Okay, so our proclamations, the first one that we have is the proclamation for Gaelic Nova Scotia Month. Okay, so I'll read the proclamation for consideration for council. Whereas 2023 marks the 27th anniversary of Gaelic Nova Scotia Month, which is time to embrace, honor, and celebrate the history, culture, language, contributions, and achievements of Gaels across the province. And whereas Gaelic culture is an integral part of the identity of Nova Scotia and one of the earliest non-Indigenous cultures to settle Mi'kma'ki. And whereas new generations of language learners and cultural champions are carrying on and building upon the legacy of Gaelic Nova Scotia's tradition bearers. And whereas government remains committed to collaborating with Gaelic communities to support opportunities for enhanced learning to ensure Gaelic language and culture will thrive in the town of Port Hawkesbury. Therefore, I, Mayor Chisholm Beaton of the town of Port Hawkesbury, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Gaelic Nova Scotia Month in the municipality of the town of Port Hawkesbury. What is the wishes of council with regard to that proclamation?
So moved, Your Worship.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded. Okay, that proclamation is accepted by council. Thank you very much. We do have one other proclamation for consideration from council. This one is a proclamation for Access Awareness Week, which will take place May 28th to June 3rd, 2023. Whereas the week of May 28th to June 3rd, 2023 is recognized as Access Awareness Week, and Access Awareness Week aims to celebrate achievements made both by and for persons with disabilities in the areas of accessibility, transportation, housing, employment, recreation, education, and communication. And this is the 37th year that the Public Awareness Initiative has taken place in Nova Scotia. And the theme for 2023 Access Awareness Week is Access includes everyone, moving the bar on quality of life. And whereas barriers to inclusion are many and interconnected, removing and preventing them is central to improving quality of life for all persons with disabilities. And the foundation of Nova Scotia's Accessibility Act is achieving accessibility by ensuring and protecting the rights of persons with disability through the identification, prevention, and removal of barriers. And whereas Access Awareness Week promotes the inclusion of all Nova Scotians with disabilities as full citizens within our communities. And through public awareness, community partnerships, and education, this campaign aims to foster an environment of equal participation for persons with disabilities within Port Hawkesbury. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Chisholm Beaton, on behalf of the town of Port Hawkesbury and council, do hereby proclaim May 28th to June 3rd, 2023 as Access Awareness Week in the town of Port Hawkesbury. What is the wishes of council?
So moved, Your Worship.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Deputy Mayor McDougall has seconded. Is there any discussion? We can call the question. Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded. The proclamation is approved. That concludes all of our proclamations. We don't have any resolutions at this time. We'll move on to other business. The first item under other business is council expenses for information for council. I'll hand things over to Terry for that review.
Yes, Your Worship. So the expenses for the month of March for the mayor, councilors, and CAO has been included in your package. For information, there's a total expenditure of $1,066 for the month of March that's been reported to the state. That spreadsheet will be posted to our website for the public to review.
Okay, thank you very much, Terry. Any questions for Terry with regard to the expenses? Okay, we'll move on then. The second item is, it should read bylaw officer priorities. So Councillor Coyne has asked me to lead a conversation with council. I understand that the conversation started at I guess last month's committee of the whole. So at this point, I would ask council, what do you see as bylaw officer-based priorities here in the town of Port Hawkesbury? We can, I guess, chronicle or list what council's priorities are, and certainly gather those. And Jason, in his work with some of the other regional leaders who are leading the charge on looking at a potential collaborative bylaw officer position, he'll be able to take that forward on our behalf. So I will start things off by handing things over to Councillor McIver for your thoughts.
Through your worship, well, the priorities of the bylaws officer, I guess, first of all, would be your bylaws, would be policing them. I think maybe should be a special constable and look after summary offense tickets for parking. I guess, and that's normal. I think maybe there's probably job descriptions out there with other municipalities that have a bylaws officer, exactly what they do. Wouldn't hurt to look into that. If that's,
sure.
That's their biggest thing, I guess, would be like, I guess policing your bylaws would be the big thing.
Like,
dog control, stuff like that. Noise.
Fire.
Yeah.
So like for parking, like winter parking.
Winter parking, parking in fire lanes, accessible parking where you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean.
We heard all about that
Yeah.
issue during our accessibility research.
Well, I know that there is issues around town with parking, and I see it myself. And I guess it can also offset the cost of your bylaws officer.
Summary offense tickets.
Yeah, and that's being pretty lenient using those tickets. I think they have a certain amount of time to pay them before they would turn into a provincial ticket.
Significant.
Costs a lot more money.
Anything else to add?
That's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor McIver. Councillor McCrory?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, at this point, I wouldn't have anything to add in addition to what Councillor McIver's mentioned.
Okay. We'll go over to Deputy Mayor McDougall. Deputy Mayor, any thoughts on priorities?
Yes, Your Worship. Through you, I know we've been trying for a lot of years to get a bylaw officer, and it's not feasible to get one for the town alone. You have to be in conjunction with the other neighboring municipalities, and I think it's a great idea, but it is what it is. It says bylaws enforcement. It's all bylaws is what we'll be in charge of. Thank you.
Thanks. I guess just throwing this out for discussion. So I know like no two municipalities are made the same from a bylaw perspective. So do you, I guess with this kind of position, I mean, does this also present an opportunity perhaps to streamline some of our bylaws so that it kind of creates a bit of consistency across municipal boundaries? Is that something, like, if Jason were here, I would ask him if that was a discussion piece at his table, but what are your thoughts on that?
I agree, Your Worship, that that's something that I think council's been talking about for many years.
Also,
Of sitting down and looking at their bylaws, and I can't recall sitting down with a meeting by itself for 2 or 3 hours just looking at bylaws. And I mean, some of them are probably redundant that we have.
of course, in card type ones.
Yeah,
I think we got rid of most of those.
some of them I think we did, but
Deputy Mayor?
No, I agree, but every municipality has individual and distinct bylaws that represent their municipality, so they all may differ. So each municipality has to look at their own bylaws.
That's okay.
Yes, Your Worship, it has been for the last while an agenda item that we've had conversations about, and we've done bylaw reviews, we've done that, but this is an exercise in going through, over a period of time, what we do have, things that are redundant or no longer necessary, but to pare it down, not to necessarily want to increase it, but if there are issues that we do not address with current bylaws, then that would be a need to create bylaws, but we should be doing a review and see what we can do to make it current. Yeah.
Perfect. I was just gonna,
Thank you.
psychologically, I knew that you had something to say, but you were next. Go ahead, Terry.
No, just a reminder that we have gone through a substantive review for bylaws and repealed a number of bylaws that were outdated, indicated priorities, and have been identified that as to how we're working through that. Just on the bylaw enforcement, one thing I meant to include in discussions, but we have been working with the RCMP on summary offense tickets.
Okay.
And we've been working with them in conjunction with the town of Wolfville. And we're actually getting tickets printed, summary offense tickets that our local detachment, the RCMP, have agreed to prosecute. So these are parking tickets that will be issued where people have parked in an area that is not in
misparked.
compliance with the Motor Vehicle Act. Sorry, that took so long.
That's
to get
okay.
out.
We knew what you meant.
Yes.
We couldn't find the words either to help you.
Anyway, so there's a constable within our detachment that took this initiative on. He met with me and the ops sergeant over Christmas vacation actually, and has moved this forward as an initiative. And I'll be bringing that back to council at committee of whole to discuss this a little more and to send a letter of thanks to move this forward, because it's a big move for us.
So thank you, Terry, very much for that. So next steps, what's the wishes of council? Do we want, we can, obviously Melissa's keeping track of the comments that council and the information that council shared on this agenda item. So we can, of course, have Jason represent that information at his consecutive meetings, but is there anything else the council would like to see moving forward on this item? Should we kind of keep it on our radar, maybe at the committee of the whole level?
Yes.
Continue the conversation?
Yes.
So Melissa will add this as at least pretty short term. We'll add it as a recurring item that we can just get some update from Jason, and from time to time, maybe we'll just have a moment of, high intellect, some great ideas that may come about. And at least it'll keep the whole bylaw question on our radar going forward. Okay. So the next item, I'm sure you are tired of hearing from me with regard to this item. So maybe Terry, if you want to kind of take us through the information from the report that we sent around, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely, sure. So there's an excellent opportunity for the mayor and our economic development officer to attend a international offshore wind conference in Copenhagen from April 17th to the 21st, and April 24th to 28th, which is the Copenhagen Lake. The mayor has done significant work in sort of determining the cost of that. The estimate of that travel cost is around $3,000. We'd also asked for, and we're asking for sponsorship of the mayor to attend this conference. The province has the province has ensured that we have free attendance at this conference, and the typical cost of that is $2,500. So that's a significant contribution. The cost to our economic development officer, Martin Thompson, is 1/4 of that. So for Martin, we would pick up 25%. Richmond County would pick up 25%, and the partnership the 50%, for a total cost of approximately, I think that's $700. I could be mistaken. So in the order of $700 for Martin.
Okay. Apologies if I misquoted that.
No, that's fine. I just want to encourage council to thoroughly consider this request. The contacts alone that are created at an international conference with respect to offshore wind development, and I'm sure green hydrogen and ammonia production could be invaluable. So there's only so many opportunities where you get the experts from the world coming together at one point, and for someone, especially the mayor of the town, to be able to discuss the potential of development off Nova Scotia, and specifically the Strait of Canso, and even more specifically the town of Port Hawkesbury, and the opportunities that could be present from there. It's just an excellent opportunity that only comes along in very rare occasions, and so certainly from staff perspective, from the CAO's perspective, strongly support the request to sponsor the mayor and Martin Thompson to attend this conference.
Also, just for information for council, part of that, I would, if council would approve this, the opportunity to attend Wind Europe, I would ask for the 2 elected members that sit on Port Hawkesbury Development to assist me in what promotional materials that I could potentially take along that can help promote the town, particularly so the waterfront area, and any other materials that could potentially help elevate the town to developers, international developers around offshore wind, be it inshore offshore or floating, supply chain, connectors, anything or any support that you could offer would certainly be appreciated.
Your worship, I'd be very pleased to make the motion because I do appreciate that it is a fantastic opportunity. When I'm just looking at the expenses though, making that motion, hotel estimate there is $1,000, and I think that's for 12 nights altogether. It goes it's from the 17th until the 28th of April, which is a total of 12 nights. And
It's for just the Copenhagen leg, so it's just for 6 nights, I believe.
Oh, is
6 or
it?
7. Yeah. So I will let council know that I tried my best to be as economical, short of swimming across the sea. In terms of the travel, so I was specifically looking for very affordable economic flight options. I will definitely be on more planes than days spent in Copenhagen. But also, I wanted to make sure that I was being economical on the hotel stay as well.
And your worship, have you, I'm sure you have, you've looked at pricing for hotels?
I have. So this is based on actual, if I book tomorrow,
Yep.
this is essentially what the cost would be. The only kind of up in the air, I'm not 100% sure on the meals, transportation costs, etc. I don't know what that local transportation will look like between meetings. But I do know that it's a 3-minute transit to the Wind Europe venue. So it is quite close and a very affordable, and it includes breakfast, so can't go wrong.
With the accommodation? Is that-
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Includes
Because I mean,
breakfast.
that's $200 a night. It's 5 nights altogether. That's
Yeah.
$200. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that was on my concern right now is the budget reflect what the actual cost would be or tentatively more of it. Sounds like you've looked into it.
The hard cost for the hotels and the flights will cover. There may need to be a little bit of wiggle room around just the transportation piece and the food. I can pivot to lettuce if I run out of money though.
And your worship, just to the economic development Martin's cost. So the request is that, or the Cape Breton Partnership is going to cover off half of
Correct.
his cost,
Right.
and then ourselves at Richmond are going to cover the other half. So I think it would be about $750 for the quarter instead of that amount.
I believe there's some accommodations made where there's maybe some sharing of rooms, like on the partnership side. So that's why there's a little bit of a discrepancy on that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to be sharing with anybody. So sorry, Tyler, you're not sleeping on the top bunk.
So I appreciate the just confirmation of that, your worship. So I make the motion that we would support you attending this conference for an amount of $3,000 and for our economic development officer for the amount of $600.
Okay, before Tyler, would you be able to confirm the quarter amount that's being requested? Sorry.
Yeah.
If it was accurate, is it 700 or 600?
700 would be more accurate.
Your worship,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to second the motion so we can get it on the table for discussion.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. So we do have a motion on the floor. And we do want to correct the amount is $750 for Martin. That's correct?
That would be very correct. There is some wiggle, but
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the total would be $3,750 roughly.
Your worship, I just, with respect to the motion, I just suggested we say for an estimated amount.
Okay.
Because expenses are expensive, so it costs and sometimes you don't actually know that until it's complete. So I'd say an estimated cost of.
An estimated cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So we do have a motion. Any discussion?
Yes, your worship, through you. The invitation is from the province, the Premier's office, I take it. That's how I
Natural
read that.
resources specifically, correct?
Very impressive.
Absolutely.
My second question was that on your flights, I appreciate you looking at cost economy and hotels, but are you with the group, the main group?
Right.
And as Terry said, that have to be an amendment to the motion. But I would hope that you would be flying and staying with the main group.
Right.
And not to put a specific cost on it, but maybe a top with 5,000 in total. So that you're
Thank you.
included.
So I guess your first question, so with the hotel, it's not specifically with the province, the staff that are traveling to Copenhagen. It's fairly close, but it is the same accommodations that Martin will be staying at, as well as Tyler and some of the other team that will be attending from the Cape Breton Partnership. So it's a little closer to the venue, I believe, Tyler, than the Best Western is the accommodation. So Warden Mumbercat will be staying at the Best Western. So if there is an opportunity to have meetings or discussion, there is just a cab ride away. So I don't think that would be too much of a deterrent at the end of the day, but I'm fine with the economic option. But thank you for,
I think
there may be a little bit of wiggle room that I'll need though in terms of cost. It's unforeseen. I'm
Yes.
not 100% sure of the.
I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and it's to have an invitation from the province to do this. I don't have any issue with it.
Yeah, and I did include the exhibition. Sorry for that. It's a huge PDF. It just outlines all of the industry partners that will be attending the exhibit for the 3 days. I also included the itinerary of the program for Wind Europe. What I didn't include, just for the sake of the province, did share it in confidence, just all of the meeting itinerary that the province has procured. Oh, I missed that.
Martin used to live in Copenhagen.
Yes, yeah. So this accommodation actually comes highly recommended from Martin, I believe. Tyler has shared that with me. So I will be perfectly fine with my very economical hotel room that includes breakfast. As long as I don't have to swim across to Copenhagen, I'm happy.
I'm fine with it. Just you're going to make an amendment not to put a cap on. I get 3,000.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so there's an amendment to the motion just to allow for 5,000.
Up to
So 5,000.
So if you run into some difficulties or something,
I'm not out of pocket.
You're not out of pocket.
Okay, thank you for that. So we do have a motion
Yes,
that has been seconded. Any discussion on the amendment?
Just your worship, I don't know if it's the amendment or the original motion, but I have 2 questions, I guess. I guess I could do it with the amendment because I was going to ask something there. As far as your travel and the trip and that, you're going to have the same as we would have in any other trip. You're going to have your per diems and you're going to have your travel and everything also, right? That's still going to be involved above and beyond your flight and your accommodations. You understand what I'm getting at here?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You'll still have your
the mileage to and from the airport and parking at the airport, like those kinds of
mileage and per diems.
Yeah.
That covers the other trip you go on.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I feel like worst case scenario, having a little bit of flexibility, according to the amendment to the motion, I think that will help kind of, I guess, alleviate some of those costs that I might have forgotten to factor in. Okay, so there's an amendment for consideration from council. Is there any other discussion on the amendment?
Nope.
Question.
Okay, the question has been called on the amendment to the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying
Aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the amendment is approved. Back to the main motion, which is to approve an amount of 3,000 to 5,000 as a cap for the mayor's travel to Wind Europe, and a $750 contribution to our EDO's travel, Martin Thompson. That is now the amended main motion.
Question?
Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Contrary minded?
Just a question. On the question. On the
Sure.
question.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
on the
The
question?
second question was, I didn't hear, I think Council, Your Worship,
Yeah, we're here.
I have a
Go
question
ahead
on
with
the
your,
motion.
go
Yes.
ahead with your question.
Okay. On the I didn't hear the answer to Councillor McIver's question. I think he asked about the province, what department in the province is sponsoring this or invited you? In your letter,
Thank
you
you.
said you were asked by the province.
Natural resources. So like Chris Spencer and his team that will be attending,
Okay.
senior staff that'll be attending the Wind Europe conference. They're actually traveling the week before to the UK. So of course that invitation was extended to us as well, but just because of scheduling and potential cost, certainly our team felt that this would be the biggest impact. Where we would learn the most, because there will be some, lots of folks there from Europe and the UK participating in this. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. So I hope that answers your question, Deputy Mayor.
Yep. Just want to know who it was.
Okay, so question on the main motion, the main amendment motion. I think, Councilor McCrory, you called the question.
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Thank you very much for your support, Council. I appreciate it. Okay, so we have no approved additions, and our next meetings will be Tuesday, April 18th. It's just committee of the whole. So I guess with regard, did we lose? Oh no, you're still with us, Deputy Mayor?
On the ball.
Okay. So for I don't know if there's a conflict with the committee of the whole, I may have to rely on Deputy Mayor to chair that if there happens to be a conflict. Our public meeting is May 2nd. And at this point, I would ask if there are any public questions from the gallery. None from Jason. I'm sure Adam will have all kinds of questions for afterwards. Anybody participating virtually that has any questions? Okay, we'll move on then to a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
We have a mover,
And you have a seconder.
seconder. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.